We're here with another episode of Conversations and Connections. Again, we're the official podcast of the Family Crisis Center of East Texas. I'm Stuart, the prevention coordinator for the agency. And with me today, I have Kinnie Reina. She is with Burke, and want to talk a little bit about Burke and what Burke does in our community, and also about an event they have coming up here in a few months. Kinnie, appreciate it. Thank you so much for letting me come out and visit with you.
You're welcome.
So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and throw you a curve right off the bat. So with Burke, well, I take that back. Let's talk about Burke first of all. Let's start really broad. A lot of folks have probably heard of Burke, that live in East Texas.
Yes.
And may have a vague idea about what Burke does, but can you kind of give me an overview of what your agency does, and I guess maybe what the mission is of Burke?
Okay. Well, our mission is kind of broad, and it's something that we hope to do with every individual we worked with, and that's working together to improve lives. And we do this through our services, and most people do think of us as mental health. About 80% of our individuals served is mental health, mental health services. And then the rest of it is intellectual and developmental disabilities. Okay. And also early childhood intervention. And the early childhood intervention is 0 to 3-year-olds. And it's those developmental delays and helping parents and help them detect them earlier, get them treated earlier, and they're less likely, they're able to overcome some of that or to improve their quality of life. And then the intellectual developmental disability services, we usually pick up those services after someone has completed public school or their school system. So when they're, even sometimes, an individual with developmental disabilities could be at school till they're 21. It just depends. And so then we pick up from there. And so those services are very individualized and a select population, of course. And then the mental health services is for adults and children. And we work with probably starting more around 5 or 6, not too young, where you're seeing a lot of, mental health concerns. But we have, with our children's side, and adult side, what's nice is you have all kinds of levels of care. And what I talk about is our individuals' needs are very unique, and they're very, so our services are sort of tailored and individualized to serve that person. And so we have case managers and counselors and, social workers, psychiatrists or nurse practitioners that do help with the psychiatry care. So there's a whole system of care that works together.
One thing I did want to point out, which I think sometimes people get a little confused, Burke is not a state agency. You're not, you guys work here, y'all don't work for the state, you're not, but I think a lot of times people are mistaking y'all for being with the state, I think. With that being said, are there any requirements, like I know Burke serves, is it still a 12-county area? I know it used to be a 12-county area that you serve. Outside those 12 counties, are there other agencies like Burke? Is there a requirement, maybe I should say, for everybody in every county in the state to have access to services like what you provide?
Right. We're kind of called mental health authorities. Okay. There's so many of us are community centers, and we receive, each center probably receives different funding. We have state and federal funding, and some even private grants that we receive. We are considered a governmental entity. And we're not, I guess, that clarification is nice to see. And it's not, it is, there's different services that someone can decide where to be served. Okay. Technically we serve those 12 counties, and then in Jasper, we only provide the ECI services now. because they've pulled out. Their county has gone with the Spindletop Center.
Okay.
And so that's a transition over there that we're working on with Jasper County. We're moving. We're opening an office in Newton County, which is on the other side of it, and then we're expanding and opening a bigger office in the Woodville, Tyler County area.
Okay. All right. So, doing what Burke does, do you find that, and maybe it's a cultural thing in more rural areas, about a stigma of people who need mental health services? Do y'all find yourself constantly fighting against that?
Sometimes I think stigma is a huge barrier to accessing services, especially early.
Right.
So a lot of times when someone initially accesses services, it's because they may be in a crisis. They may be a danger to themselves or to others. They maybe having thoughts of suicide, that sort of thing. So a lot of people come in through our crisis services side of things, and we do have a crisis number, but we are actually recommending the 988 number that goes to the same call center as Burke's crisis number.
Okay.
Ours is 800-392-8343, and when I recommend calling that number, and I sometimes I'll tell people to put it in your phone because you never know when you'll need it.
Exactly.
But it helps access Burke services quicker than if you call 988. But if you call 988, you can still say, because it's easier to remember, they can still connect you to Burke.
Okay.
But what we find, things have gotten to a point where that individual or the family, they're really seeing that help is vital, that it's needed somehow. So folks may turn to Burke, and a lot of times it's either maybe a doctor, or a church, or someone else has known about our services, and but and stigma can be about lack of knowledge. It can be about family and cultural beliefs. Some people may feel like we're going to take care of this in our family, or
I think
we're going to take care of it at church. And so, but we are seeing it talked about more and more. Okay. So I think that high schoolers and college students now are talking about it, and it's maybe on TV shows.
They're probably more comfortable now. I do know there's in some families or some cultures or whatever, hey, this does not get out of the family. You do not tell anybody what goes on. And what I used to hate, disclosure here, I used to work here in a lifetime ago. And what I used to hate, and I heard this a couple of times when I was out at job fairs or something. Oh, Berkshire, that's where the crazy people go. And that just made my skin crawl to hear people say things like that. Right. And that's, and I've always wondered now if it's any better as far as fighting that belief or that idea of the type of clients that Burke serves.
Well, and I think it is better, and I have found people in the community even tell me that they've accessed services, and my counselor there is great, and that sort of thing. And I'm like, write us a review.
there you
if
go.
You've had a good experience,
right?
But, with mental health and the stigma, and then how to address it, because we all don't know how to address it, and we all don't know how to talk about it.
Right.
And so, mental health first aid is one thing that we offer. It's a course that you can take just like regular first aid. We have a mental health first aid coordinator, and you can go to myburke.org/MHFA. So it's a national program that's evidence-based. It has curriculum, and it can give, I recommend anyone that's around people to take mental health first aid. Because 1 in 5 individuals is what we're seeing. We've seen that for years. 1 in 5 adults and children. I think sometimes we see 1 in 4 data. that it's more common. People are diagnosed earlier than they used to be,
Right.
and it's a brain thing. It's a I don't completely understand it. I'm not a psychologist or a counselor. I'm a communicator, just like you. But what I've learned and seen is that it is common, and it's something that we want to give people hope for. And the mental health first aid allows somebody to know the signs and symptoms, to get the information and the facts about mental health, to know how to detect it in someone that they might be around. We have a youth module that's focused on people that work with youth under 18. And then we have a module that's focused on adults. So if you work with adults. And so like if somebody's in HR at an agency, they would want to take mental health first aid. We've taught them to pastors, to different groups. So we're doing a partnership with the Nonprofit Leadership Center at Angelina College in Lufkin. And so they're hosting a course with us on February 9. So that's something to look into. I can send you that link to register. They have it on Eventbrite, but we'll make sure it's on our website and social media and things like that. But we've done a few courses with them, and that's a free course. It's a day-long thing, but there's a lot of information to learn. And you practice. You practice saying the things that are hard.
Yes.
Because a lot of us don't know how to say, are you thinking about suicide?
Right. Yeah. What's a tactful way to say it without, Okay, great. Kinnie, what are the qualifications someone has to meet? Like, to qualify for services at Burke, is there an income bracket? Is there anything like that? Or can anyone access your services?
We basically say anyone can. The qualifications vary by program and by the individual's needs, sort of what their diagnosis might be. So we recommend, if you're interested or in need, to call our intake number. That's 936-634-5010. So you start the intake process. That's the first way to access services. And calling that number, getting started, they'll even send you forms to fill out and bring with you, so you don't have to sit and do them all. But that's kind of done in our main clinics in Nacogdoches, Lufkin, and in Livingston. And it's sort of a kind of, once you get through that process, then they determine what sort of services you need. And then, but we do have a sliding scale. We take insurance. If you're cash pay, we look at a regular state kind of sliding scale of your income and your family member size and that sort of thing. We do work with clients on payment plans, but we charge reasonable fees, just because we want individuals to get the help that they need.
Of course. Okay. So I want to turn our attention to something that you guys have been doing now for a number of years. It's an event. It's Mission Possible. Tell me a little bit about what is that all about? What's Mission Possible?
Well, Mission Possible, it's an annual mental health conference, and it provides continued education for our professionals in the area, mental health professionals and we have other slew of professionals, and I can go through that. But we pull in regional folks. It's not just Nacogdoches and Lufkin, and it's not all Burke employees, though a lot of them attend. And it's providing a resource for our community, that because there's not a lot of conferences that are local that folks can go to. And we're not limited to mental health professionals. So you can be, we do provide continuing education, and we have breakout sessions. It's a 2-day conference. The first day is a half-day, sort of 3-hour ethics workshop. And that's something that our counselors and social workers need, is an ethics course, a certain amount of ethics hours every year. And then the full day conference we'll have keynote speakers, we'll have breakout sessions. And kind of some of the professionals that come are nurses, educators that work with youth in schools or organizations, our community-based organizations. And we'll probably have some family crisis center folks there. health and wellness groups. We also have an Alzheimer's focused. We've partnered with the Alzheimer's Association for many years, and because we kind of work with some of the same individuals, and we'll have hospices and home health agencies, and then we also will have some sessions that are kind of geared to the consumers and to the general public. So it may be something that you don't have to have a degree in social work or counseling to understand the sessions.
Yeah, well, and that was one of my questions. Right. And I'm glad you said this isn't necessarily limited to mental health professionals. If anybody just has an interest in this field, they're more than welcome to come, right?
Right, and we have a rate. It's $30. It's called our consumer or family member rate. If you have a loved one and you want to understand more about mental health, or if you want to learn more about the services, I thought about even doctor's office staff might want to learn more. And so it's definitely something that's open to the public, and we feed you very well.
Is there a particular theme this year? Every year it seems like there's always like an underlying umbrella theme, so to speak. Is there any particular topics or everything that y'all are really focusing on at this session?
So our theme this year is making a leap forward. So we are playing on the leap year sort of mentality, and the making a leap forward is we're wanting to motivate our community, our mental health community or our organizations and the individuals that attend the conference, is to, whether it's in their jobs, in their personal lives, not necessarily really changing things, but how do you make a leap forward in your family, or in your job how do you go above and beyond, or kind of getting past the day by day humdrum that we sometimes get stuck in, so sort of motivating and encouraging. We have a variety of sort of things that we're looking at with that, and we're developing our speaker panel. We first kind of reach out to our past presenters, and we're in that phase right now. And it's, yes, the conference is, just 2 months away, but we'll have that.
No, you need to start working now.
Oh,
definitely.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we should have it by now, but a lot of our presenters aren't ready to commit before the new year. Or all the holiday stuff. We've never been able to really get them to look at that. And we'll bring in some keynote speakers that will be working on some growth ideas and some fostering connectedness and inclusion, and so it's usually a really good conference. We had about 240 last year, so about 250. We have it at the Pitzer Garrison Civic Center here in Lufkin, and this is our third year to do it
I was
there.
wondering, because it used to be at SFA, so you're moving it to Lufkin here at the Civic Center.
And so 2019 was our last year to have it at SFA.
Okay.
And we wanted to try something different, just a lot of reasons, kind of pulling it away from the campus, and not that that's not something we might do again, but it's worked for us to have it there, and it allows us some flexibility. People, well, I hear about it when we talk to individuals, when we get evaluations, they do enjoy the learning opportunities, but they also really enjoy the networking opportunities they get to see people they don't always see. They get to, or maybe it's people they work with by phone or email at other agencies. And this helps them get together and build those relationships, and then learn about the other services in the area, or just a new topic.
Okay. How long has Burke been doing this? What year? What number is this? So
this is our 27th.
The 27th one,
annual
really?
Conference.
Okay.
And we did skip 2 years. So in 2020, we were about to have our conference in March.
I remember that.
And we had to cancel. And then in 21, we opted to have a virtual web series,
Okay.
And so then we did come back in 22 and had our 25th anniversary so we could celebrate that together. And there were people there that had been to the that many conferences, that had come every year. So it's nice to see that that commitment, and that there's people that are that value or loyal to the conference. Yeah. So I would say that the first conference, I believe, was 1995, and it may have just been, sort of a small group of maybe 20 people that the School of Social Work, they were the ones that first put it on.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So, Kinnie, when is this going to take place again?
So it's March 19 to 20.
Okay. And if someone is interested, they want to register, who do they contact? How do they do that? Or is registration even open yet?
It is open.
Okay.
So we opened it on Monday, and we have, already 40-something people registered. And we're trying we have an early bird rate until March 1, so then we go up a little bit, getting us at the, closer to the event. But if you go to myburke.org/Mission Possible, or Google Mission Possible Conference, it comes up.
Okay.
But and then my office number is 936-558-6246. If somebody doesn't find it on the website, but it's there. The link to register is there, and we keep it pretty affordable. Whether you're coming for your interest or for your CEs, and then we feed our attendees very well, and so we hope they get their value.
Great. All right. Is there anything else you want to make sure our listeners know about before we wrap it up?
No, that's it.
Okay.
We appreciate them joining us at Mission Possible, or if they need our services, to reach out.
Yes.
And follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
All right. Kinnie, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you a lot. Again, Kinnie Reina with Burke, talking about all the things Burke does, as well as Mission Possible coming up. Again, that'll be on March the 19th through the 20th. And you can just Google that or go to myburke.org, and you can find all the information you need there. And as always, if you feel like you need the services of the Family Crisis Center, we do have our toll-free number. That's 1-800-828-7233. Also, be sure to subscribe to Conversations and Connections. You can do that via Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, pretty much any podcast service of your choice. Also, if you would like to donate, go to our website, FamilyCrisisCenterOfEastTexas.com. There at the bottom left corner, you'll see that donate button. Click on that if you would like to make a monetary donation to help survivors of relationship violence. As always, be the voice, if not for you, for someone else.